Good week.
I like it all. But I'm going to tell you what, I got to lighten up my calendar.
We want to call this city council meeting to order this Sunday, July the 14th, 2025. You will stand with me as we do the invocation and pledge allegiance. Father, we love you today, Lord. We thank you so much for your love towards us. Father, we ask God that you help us, lead us in this meeting today. We ask you to bless each one that have come that participate. We ask for your wisdom and direction. And we thank you, Lord, for a good outcome. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First off, we're honored to have our state representative, Shane Abbott, going to come up and tell us a little bit about what's going on with the legislative.
We're not going to go all the way in the legislative, but it's a disaster this year. Not all of a disaster. I'm just going to take about 15 seconds to tell you about the good news that you probably all are aware of. But Senator Trumbull and myself were able to secure $1 million for the main affluent line of Phoenix Springs.
Awesome.
Thanks, sir. So we're always excited and willing to help, and we're really proud that we got this one across the line. I know it'll help the city out tremendously, and we'll get ready to get to work for next session. So thank you again for trusting us to do it.
Thank you so
sir.
much.
Absolutely.
We're so grateful. Amen.
Can we thank him for the beach? I said we need to thank him for the beach.
Yeah.
Also, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So at this time, we'll ask Liberty Partners if they want to come and to tell us the latest and greatest.
Hello.
Hey.
I'm going to leave it to Tim. As you can tell, I'm really stuffy, but if he messes something up, I think I'll just grab him by the coat.
There you go.
But all kidding aside, we are so happy to work with Representative Abbott. I mean, obviously he's a neighbor for you, Tim, but it's exciting to work in areas where you like the people, like who you work with. It's not problematic, and you have a great story to tell. So thank you, and I'm going to leave it with Tim. Ask him a lot of questions.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Now, as the representative said, it was an extended legislative session, but this presentation is going to be abbreviated. So just want to run through a couple things. If we could look at the next slide. Just kind of an overview of what the Florida cabinet looks like. You'll notice there that there's an empty space for CFO. That was now Congressman Jimmy Petronis's seat. That has been vacated since, I believe, March 31st. So it has been a little while. There is some positive news, though. We're hearing that announcement could come as early as this week, a replacement for former CFO Jimmy Petronis. So there will be an appointment there. And you just see, like, if you'll notice, at least with the governor, he's termed out next year. So there'll be a lot of jockeying over the next several months to find his replacement. Next slide. This is an overview of the Florida legislature and the makeup between Republicans and Democrats. You'll see that the Florida legislature has supermajority Republican control in both the Senate and the House. There is one vacancy in the Florida Senate. Former Senator Geraldine Thompson passed away during the legislative session, and that seat is being, we've got it down as blue because it's expected to remain in the Democratic column. But like I said, the Republicans still have a supermajority in both chambers. Next slide. This is the lineup for the leadership. President Ben Albritton, from a rural county, so serving rural communities has been one of his focuses. Next slide. And then in the House, we've got Speaker Danny Perez from Miami. So his priorities have been a little bit different than President Albritton's, and that's where we've seen a little bit of the friction that we saw during the legislative session this last year. Next slide. And one more slide. This was the legislative session schedule going into the legislative session. You'll see that there was a change in the second week of January. There was a cancellation of the committee meetings in order to hold a special session on immigration. That was really when we started to see things, a little bit of friction between the House, the Senate, and the governor over, their policies on immigration reform. Next slide. And then, as you may have seen, the legislative session was scheduled to conclude on Friday, May the 2nd. Unfortunately, the legislature did not have the budget completed by then. That's their one constitutional responsibility, and they announced that it would take a few additional weeks to get that done. There was not an agreement between the House and Senate on how long to extend until they came to the decision to extend to June the 18th. They actually finished on June the 16th. That evening is when they finished with the budget and a few other items. You can see some of the difference is between the House, Senate, governor, and their priorities. But next slide. If you look at the number, that's how many bills were filed this year, how many bills we were tracking. A lot of them did relate to cities, counties, and local governments. So it was something that we tracked and followed on behalf of the city. You'll see the number of vetoes there that Governor DeSantis extended. I mean, as far as comparing former governors, he hasn't vetoed maybe some of the governors that some of the governors have in the past. Look at the overall total budget, $115.1 billion. That was actually less than what the budget was last year. So I think there was I think the legislature felt like they did do a good job on the budget, getting some of that spending down. As you know, a lot of the budget in the last couple of years was flush with federal dollars from COVID and whatnot, but those funds have now been purged, and like I said, it's more of a baseline number for the state of Florida. But next slide, and then one more. This is the kind of gives you an example of some of the spending the last couple of years. You'll see 117 billion in 23-24, but their focus going in this year was try to get some of that spending under control, and they certainly did. Next slide. You see the governor's recommended budget, and then the conference budget, and then along with the amount of funds that were vetoed by the governor. Next slide. But I mean, this is what we're most excited about, was the funding that Representative Abbott and Senator Jay Trumbull helped the city secure this year. $1 million for a water project, which are oftentimes the most competitive funds in the budget. To see this brought back home, I think, is a big win. We didn't know which way it was going to go. The legislative session, because of the kind of the back and forth, when they were going to finish, the top line spending in the budget, could have gone either way. We weren't sure if any of the projects were going to get funded at the end. So really excited to see these funds come to the city of Defuniak Springs for a project that y'all have identified as your number one priority the last two sessions. So really glad to see that. Next slide. And these are just a few of the key bills. 180, I think, something that y'all have talked about, annexation, and affordable housing. And then the next slide. These are some of the key ones that failed. And I think there's also one related to community redevelopment agencies that did not pass. But these were just a handful of the bills that we followed for you all this session. We are very proud. We provided y'all with weekly updates on all the key bills as they move through the process. So that's something that if there's different things that y'all want to learn more about going into the next session, we're happy to share that information with you. But next slide. This was legislation that was passed this year that we'll see on the ballot next year. And some of the changes to constitutional amendments on the ballot was a big topic of conversation this legislative session to discourage voter fraud as far as collecting signatures to have items on the ballot. But next slide. And this is the language that you will all see on the 2026 ballot as it relates to ad valorem tax exemption. Next slide. Of course, a lot of discussion this session centered around the issue of property tax and property tax reforms. There was, with the exception of the constitutional amendment that's going to be proposed, there was nothing that that passed that overhauled property taxes, but we anticipate that that is going to be probably the main issue of discussion during the 2026 session. I think, leaders, the House, Senate, and the governor have all expressed their interest in seeing something pass and seeing something included on the ballot next year as well. Next slide. And that brings us to where we're at today. You see that the legislature will be back in Tallahassee the first week in October to begin interim committee weeks and in preparation for the start of the 2026 legislative session on January 13th. Your Walton County legislative delegation will probably be scheduling their meeting prior to that to give you an opportunity to speak to your legislative problem into the next session. But next slide should wrap this up. So if there's any questions or comments.
Can you go back 2 slides? That one. Eliminate foreclosures on homestead properties due to property tax lien. Can you explain that? What are they wanting to do there? Do you know?
Which bullet?
The last one.
The last one. So far, there have only been sort of a list of concepts that have been proposed. There is the House has formed a committee on property tax reform, and there's not been any specific legislation or language proposed so far. These are just a few of the concepts that they've discussed so far. I don't know if that's been fleshed out yet.
The ultimate concept there is to attempt to take a legislative codification of some of the case law that prohibits the ouster of owner-occupied homestead property for property tax liens themselves. That's been an issue for a long time in the state of Florida, and the idea here would be to completely eliminate that foreclosure. It's been proposed to be as broad as any tax deed sale, and all the way to include code enforcement liens, and to expand some non-ad valorem assessment liens. That's been proposed.
Well, yeah, because we got a couple items today.
Yeah,
And
I can tell you.
I want to put the 2 and 2 together.
Yeah, this has been proposed many times before at the legislature in a variety of forms. It has not thus far made it very far.
Well, y'all are actually in luck. We've got a member of the committee, the select committee that I just referenced here in the audience who might be able to speak a little bit to the concepts where you think that this discussion may be going and the impacts to cities.
That one I was actually quoted in Florida Politics for saying whoever came up with that was really stupid, because you'll never get anybody to pay their property taxes. If you tell me that you can't kick me out, why would I pay them? So I don't know that that's going to make it. All these were ideas that were fleshed out through probably even the first meeting. There's a couple of them that were terrible. To create a new $500,000 homestead exemption. Of course, I represent 5 counties. If you get into that one, Calhoun County literally has 4 people who have a homestead over 500,000. So they'd be the only 4 people paying taxes in the entire county. So that won't work. There's a lot of talk about it. I think what we'll probably end up seeing is something where we have a ad valorem decrease for homestead only. Don't quote me yet, but I'd say it's probably going to land somewhere in that 35% range. We're still working through a whole lot of these different things, but whatever we do come up with will have to go before the voters next November as amendment to the Constitution. But a lot of these were put out there without folks recognizing that the state is vastly different in different regions. Some of these sounded great for Miami, but are terrible for Northwest Florida. And so you're starting to see a lot of these go away, but we'll work towards something that gets some property tax relief, yet making sure that we can still fund schools and first responders and all the necessities that we got to have. So anything else? Any questions?
Just thank you for the beach too.
Yes, ma'am.
Renovation.
Well, thank both of you very, very much. Thank you. All right, we're going to move right on to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as written, or you can have some things pulled off if you like.
Second.
I'll have a motion second.
I have
Yep.
I asked H be removed.
H1.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Tell me where we want to move that.
We'll just make it 4B1.
Or B1.
I'll modify my motion to include that change.
I modify my second.
All right. Any other questions? All in favor, and we are at Dan.
Yes.
Say aye.
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 All right. Ayes carried. Thank you very much. And then we'll go to our regular agenda. Do we have any, besides that one, add any other
No, Mayor.
changes?
Motion to approve with changes.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 All right. Ayes carried. Thank you very much. All right, then we will go ahead and pick up, what was H1, what's that, the Human Resource Division?
Yes, sir.
Toby?
Yes, that's it.
For me? Oh, sorry. I only pulled this off because I just wanted to make it very transparent to the audience that this, even though we have a hiring freeze in place, this position is not funded by the general fund budget. It's paid for by a utilities budget. So therefore, I just wanted that to be very clear that and transparent that that was not anything more than it's special revenues paying for this. So I didn't want people to think that was our general fund budget.
Okay.
Motion to approve and advertise and fill vacant position.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Comments from anyone? All in favor, say aye.
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 All right. Ayes carried. Thank you very much. All right, we'll go to 4.2. Excuse me, we're going to go to 4.1. Yeah. All right, city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, this will be quick. Just wanted to put this on here. This is the monthly report you'll start receiving now every month. Staff did a great job of providing information and really had what we're looking for. It's on. Mike, you may turn it up a little bit. Can everybody hear me now? Okay. So this is the monthly report you'll be getting. Staff did a good job getting that information to me and everyone working together. This is just a heads up, and that from now on, as long as everyone's okay with it, this report will be on the second meeting of the month and on consent, just as for the public and for council as well. But it gives staff more time to get information together, and particularly finance time to reconcile the books so you can get accurate data.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Okay.
Kobe, I wanted to tell you and staff, thank you very much. This is what I know I've been asking for. It's got a lot of statistics in there. I sent a couple recommendations that I think you're adding to it so that we don't have to always ask. It's right. It's going to be routine and regular every single month, the second meeting of each month. So thank you. Good job.
Okay, you want to move on to 4.2?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. This is an interlocal agreement with Walton County regarding utilization of the Phoenix Springs Community Center during emergencies and disasters. Simply, this is just an agreement, a formal agreement with the county, particularly emergency management, for the use of the community center. We do this already. We've had agreements in the past after talking to Mr. Atkinson. So we want to get a new agreement. This allows them to use the facility in terms of a declared emergency, non-declared emergency. And so on top of that, we want to give them a key to the building so they have it all times. They can access the building 24/7. And so we're just looking for agreement to the interlocal with Walton County.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I'll have a motion second. Any questions?
I believe Mr. David Hirsch, is that correct? He's here. You don't have to come up. Jeff was going to be here. He had to go to Tallahassee a little sooner. If you have any questions, I think he can answer those. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward.
Okay, everybody good? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Ayes carried. Thank you very, very much. We'll go to 4.3.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the City Department Division reorganization. So we've all been talking about this for a little while. I've been, since we've been doing this, been looking at the city, looking at how we operate, how we function, where we're headed, how this council sees the city moving forward, our committees that we serve here in the city, staff, talked to numerous staff about this. And so essentially, I propose a couple, matter of fact, 8 recommendations for the city. First is to separate utilities and public works into 2 departments. I believe we're at the point where we do need a department and an individual over that department who is about utilities and over utilities all the time, and is putting, long-term planning, meter replacement, all those things is what they do every day, day in and day out. That also allows, on the flip side, public works to have a director that is particularly about maintenance and transportation of the city, sidewalks, streets, facilities, all those different things that I believe we need someone to be focused on all the time. And so that's my first recommendation. The second one to that would be the establishment of a utilities director, and then the reestablishment of the public works director position. So there are funds in the utility budgets for the remaining of this fiscal year for such a position in utilities. In public works, we'll be reclassing the vacant project manager position for this. So the funds are available as well for the rest of this remaining fiscal year. And so that is the separation of public works and utilities. Next, I recommend we move utility billing out from under finance and put it under the newly established utilities if we go that route. This really does two things. One, it allows finance to focus on finance. It allows whatever director, whoever we bring in here, to focus on that, put some things in place where they free up time with their staff to do, be auditing the city's utility billing, be auditing our payroll and our time leave and those things every year to make sure we're staying consistent. Second, it allows utility billing to be a part of the long-term planning of utilities. That's a forgotten thing. We really don't usually think about utility billing and what's going in the dirt and what meters are going in and what pumps. But utility billing is key and when it comes to that type of stuff. So we want to ensure they're sitting at the table with that director and those foremen to understand what they're doing, when they're doing it, and why we're doing it. So I do recommend we move that out. Next, and these are really name changes. I'm recommending we rename the planning department to the community development department. This seems to be a common theme within the Panhandle and cities I've seen. But for us and for myself, I see that this council and the boards that other boards we work with, the tree board and the code review and land use, we're really pushing on redevelopment. We're pushing on that stronger code enforcement, which code enforcement has really come a long way, but we want to continue that effort. And so, in all of that, we're developing the community. We're preparing for people to come and live here. We're preparing to provide a better living situation for the individuals who are here and have been here. And so I do believe that it's more fitting for where we're at and where we're headed. Second, I will be changing some of the responsibility within public works, particularly within the grounds division. And so grounds division will also be over the maintenance of grounds and equipment at our parks. So I believe it's more fitting to rename the division to Parks and Grounds so that our citizens know who's responsible for those things. And so, again, they're renamings, but it's an opportunity for us to reset and reset priorities within those divisions and for the community to see this is where we're headed and these are the things that we are doing. Next, now that the city operates the senior center, I believe we need to formally add that to our organizational chart, and it will fall under the administration department for this time. So I'd ask that we add that to the org chart. And then lastly, you will see in this attachment, you see the current org chart, and then you will see the proposed. And so here you only see departments, you do not see divisions, but because the departments are that foundation that I'd like to work off of. And so the differences you will see is changing planning to community development and then separating public works and utilities. So that's my request of the council is all eight recommended actions that you see in that memorandum.
Motion to approve. Second.
Discussion.
Okay, go right ahead.
My
Go
turn.
right ahead.
I'm not necessarily, I like what some of these are proposing. What I'm concerned about is just 2 weeks ago, we put in a hiring freeze and we wanted to save some money. I think we're just now going into budget cycle, and I think all these would be more appropriate if we didn't make a decision today, but we talk about these things in the budget as we go forward. I mean, we're so close to doing the budget and getting that finalized. And one of the things that concerned me was community development. What'd you call it?
Community development.
Okay. When I first read that, I immediately started thinking about the CRA, and I was immediately confused. And then it's like, no, that's not what he's talking about because they don't operate under us. So I really would prefer to get a different name other than that, because I just think if I could do that confusion on first thought, what the public would too. So I just think that's too confusing. I would prefer a different name for that action. So anyway, I think this is premature based on the action that we took a couple weeks ago. And I'd like to see us wait and discuss all these things as part of the budget cycle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think our city manager already has the power to do this under section 1105, powers and duties, subsection O. It says the city manager can organize the various departments and their relationship to other departments of the city in the manner that the city manager best deems necessary to serve the interest of the city. So realistically, the request that you brought forward, you already have the power to do in the charter as it is.
Yes, go right ahead.
Kobe, could you and Danielle tell me these 8 recommendations, which they sound really good? Is it going to affect the budget? Is it going to require more money? Is there going to be, she did bring up a good point. Is this going to affect our budget?
So on the public works side, we already have a position budget this year has been vacant for, I don't know, 5 or 6 months now. So the money's already been budgeted this year. We're just reclassing the position. The goal is to stay within that same allotted amount that's been in there. And we'll definitely be that this year because there's only a few months left in the year. And utilities, again, the goal for both these positions is an internal hire, right? We want to give opportunity to our staff to be able to promote up and within. And then if we have individuals who are willing to take that step and meet the requirements and can do that, that's wonderful. If we have people who don't want to do or don't meet the requirements, then we will go externally. So in terms of utilities, yes, if it's not an internal candidate, it will be a new expense to the utilities department for sure. But in terms of the general fund and public works, we're just taking one position and reclassing it to a director. The rest of this doesn't have a financial aspect to it. The senior center, that is an administrative function. We're adding it to the org chart. The actual cost of senior has already been approved and established and will be added into this year's budget. That was something we did prior months ago whenever we took it over. So the only 2 you're going to see in cost are the 2 positions.
One which is already budgeted,
Which is budget that we're reclassing.
and the second one is,
Depending on if it's an internal hire, it could have minimal increased cost to the utilities departments across the board, across the 3. If it's an external hire, it would be a new expense to the city.
okay. So we do have a hiring freeze on,
Correct.
and if we vote to approve this, that would break the hiring freeze, correct?
Mr. Atkinson could clarify, but my request on number 2 and 3 is just to establish and to reclass. If the council moves forward all 8 or however many move forward, I do have a second motion I'm going to request, which is to advertise and fill those 2 positions. So I was taking them as 2 separate motions myself, but if you feel that 2 and 3 already encompasses that, it's fine. But I was taking them 2 different motions.
My interpretation is your hiring freeze stays in effect even if you approve this, unless you approve the next motion he's asking for as to those 2 positions. Just because and by the way, I completely concur with Councilman Sconyers when Mr. Townsend and I discussed this. I do believe under the authorities of 1105 of the charter, Mr. Townsend has the authority to do this without coming to the council for approval. He doesn't need the council's approval for it, but when Mr. Townsend, I'll put words in his mouth for him, when I told him that, he said, I understand that, but I'd rather the council see it in a public meeting and give me their feedback. And he did this in a position where all of you could give him your feedback. But technically, the charter says he can do this without asking. So he could have done all of this without asking, and it would not have broken the hiring freeze. To do the next step is what takes the exception to the hiring freeze.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Tom.
So I think that I'm in full agreement with all 8 recommendations. I think that it's a good step forward. Kobe has done a good job of sitting down with me and explaining each of those recommendations and why he's making those recommendations. I think that he has a good outlook on the city, and this is the first step in many steps to getting us to where we need to be. So I'm in full support of it. I think it's a great presentation.
Yes, go right ahead.
Yeah, I did have a question also, Councilwoman Havlin, about the community development name. And Kobe and I discussed this when we went over the draft agenda the other day. And I asked about it. And what I did ask was because it could be a little bit confusing to people. However, they're in the process of redoing the website, and Kobe's already, they're already working on how they're going to break all this out into plan. Kobe, I'll let you speak to that, how that website will be, but that kind of satisfied my question about it. But Kobe, would you mind explaining?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I don't have the website to me, but when you go to the home, and this is,
Just
you go to the homepage, you got the banner up there. It's got government, community. We're going to create a departments banner, and so we'll take that out of government. And in that, you will have each department will have its main section, and then under that will be subsections. So they'll be able to see, okay, community development, planning, zoning, code enforcement, business tax receipts. So we'll try and help the public navigate that as well. But it's definitely not uncommon to have a community development department, but also have a community redevelopment agency or area. So we would try our best to help navigate that, clarify for the public. But yeah, we'll do all we can to do that.
Thank you.
You want it? So we don't,
We have a motion and a second.
we have that motion, okay. Any comments from the public? All in favor, say aye.
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 I just want to reiterate, I think it's a great presentation, Kobe. Yes, I do agree you have the authority to do it. I think it's the wrong time. I think it's more appropriate during the budget season. And I appreciate the transparency. I just wish it would have taken place during the budget. So I'm going to vote no.
All right.
Ayes carried.
Okay.
Thank you very
And
much.
Mayor, my second ask of that is similar to what was H1 but became B1 is approval to advertise and fill Public Works Director and Utilities Director positions.
Motion to approve.
Second.
The effect of this would be, it would be an exception in limited fashion to these two positions to the hiring freeze.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Questions? Comments?
I just want to comment. Both of those positions, there's one position that's already been budgeted and we haven't filled, so we have that money available to us. And then the other one he's reclassing. Also, at least one of those positions is being funded directly out of the enterprise funds. So that's why I'm comfortable with filling those positions. And to me, that still lives within the spirit of the hiring freeze for the general fund positions, because that's where we had looked at there being different cuts and stuff.
Anyone else?
And I got one more. I'll go ahead and reiterate as to why I feel that it's appropriate at this point. We're the purpose of the hiring freeze, and we went over this last week in prepping for the meeting today and asked ourselves, what was the purpose of the hiring freeze? It was to go ahead and put the brakes on us for a few minutes, figure out where we're wanting to go in the future, and then address all these things in budget as we're going into our budget workshops and establishing the final budget. So at this point, the council already agrees that, yes, this direction that we want to go in, we're so late into the fiscal year at this point to where I think it's going to have minimal impacts at all. And so for that fact, we can go ahead and carry this into the budget workshop and know that that's just what we're going to do. So that's all I got to say on it.
Any other comments? Any comments or questions from the public? All in favor, say aye.
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 For the same reasons, no.
Aye.
Ayes carried. Thank you very much. All right, now we'll go to 4.3. I'm sorry, 4.4.
Thank you, Mayor. So number 4 is the finance director position, job description ordinance. There is no ordinance attached, and that's purposeful. Mr. Atkins and I talked about that. We just did that to notify that if there are certain changes that the council like to see, that we will have to move into an ordinance requirement. So ultimately, what you have attached to the agenda is the old, existing, and approved job description for the finance director. Worked with Ms. Chance. We made changes to the requirements section, which you will see, I believe, underlined in red, and which incorporated some of the conversations that we all had, I believe, back in August of the workshop. And then the second section you will see, well, it's not attached. We've had an issue with this system. I can get that. Councilwoman Heaven had provided a list of recommendations to that. Is it there?
It's there. It's that next
I was
page.
not doing it for some
Here
reason.
it is.
Oh, sorry, thank you. And so we want to make sure that was included. We all discussed it at the time. She said she would bring those back, so we want to include that. So ultimately, we're looking just direction on how you would like us to update this or do it. We will remove, and the reason this is second, it's purposeful. I don't want to assume anything. If the council was to approve my reorg request, then we will remove any reference to utility billing, which I'll have to go through here, and we'll do that if that's there. But here's the document. There are the requested changes you all discussed back in August. And so looking for what you would like to do moving forward between a job description or potential changes to any ordinance requirements as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Kobe, is this going to be on the next council agenda? Both pieces finalized? I was thinking it was going to be finalized.
Mhm.
The
It can
ordinance
be,
and
it can be if the council deems there to be additional changes.
And again, I think a lot of this is duplication. So as I said in my email, I would like to defer to the HR director. She's the subject matter expert, and I trust the professional judgment of you and your team.
Mhm.
So could you just please, I think, allow her to look at that and get it to where it meets
Mhm.
all the requirements and eliminates all those duplications, and just bring back the final version for us to vote on at the next council meeting on the 28th, please. Both the,
Mhm. Yeah,
both
if that's
pieces.
if that's what everyone wants to do, we can do
I
that.
mean, that's my,
I mean, I
take of
may ask for some assistance in the duplication. I mean, I've read through it.
You can make that a motion.
I'll make that as a motion to defer to HR, and she can take, she should, she's the subject matter expert. Allow her to change that and modify it to where it needs to meet the professional needs of our agency, and bring it back for a vote on the 28th meeting of July.
Was that a motion?
That's a motion.
Second?
I have a motion second. Questions, comments? Go ahead.
So we've had several meetings about this, as referenced earlier. There was the special workshop that was called back in August. And I believe we had not one, but at least two different meetings about it back then. I'm of the opinion that we really should take basically the pages 2 through 4 there, or 2 through 3, and adopt that as our job description and get this thing advertised. This is not really that much change from when we dealt with this back in August. We need to get this position advertised and going. To me, I do agree that there are some things in the essential job functions that could be pulled out. For example, knowledge of Microsoft Office Suite. You could then, from the page 4 of Ms. Hevelin's suggestions, you could pull out some of these other bullet points and bring them up there. But at the end of the day, I don't think it materially changes what we need, and that's a finance director that's qualified. I think that what is currently presented before us today is more than adequate to get it advertised and start the process. So I'm in favor of approving this tonight and getting this out.
I got to do a Mr. McKnight type of deal. I really want to see it professional and not have, a person shouldn't second guess in this professional position when, if it is my area of expertise, and if I was looking at that, I mean, I don't think you're saying it's adequate, but I don't want it to just be adequate. I want it to be a professional, we're starting to change all of these things, the management report, the other reportings that we're doing. I really would like to, I don't think 2 weeks delay is going to really make that significant of a difference.
I'm of the opinion we have been requested, this council has agreed to have multiple meetings and workshops on this, and we are at this point, at this juncture. So we've had ample time to provide input and changes at this point. I mean, we had multiple meetings back in August at your request, and here we are.
August of last year?
Yes, ma'am.
And I agree with that. So it would have been staff's responsibility to bring that back and put it on the agenda. And I've asked, and you can ask Kobe, I'm sure he's got it in his notes, many a times, where are we on this? Why are we not?
Okay.
And so finally, I asked him, I said, will you do me a favor? Put it on every single agenda under my name until we get this resolved. Is that not an accurate depiction of? So
So-
I'm not sure what has stalled it between August and now.
So then let's just get it approved tonight and let's get it advertised.
I disagree with that, but the vote will.
Well, we got a motion on the table. Go ahead.
Well, just a few questions. I'd just like to understand this a little better. If we can point out, like, for example, and I agree, if we can work this out and move forward, we do it. That's what I kind of prepared to do tonight was I spent time looking over this thing. And under the, let me find the right page here, I'm sorry. Under the knowledge, skills, and abilities of the original requirements, there's two things there about midway down. One says skilled in dealing with customers with demonstrated ability to handle stressful situations. Then you drop down a few bullets, and there's another one that's similar to that. It says ability to exercise good independent judgment. Nope, sorry, one up. Ability to exercise considerable tact and courtesy in contact with the general public. I think those two things, just to be helpful, if they start looking at this, could be easily combined. I mean, all we expect somebody to do is be able to deal with customers and in a professional, effective manner. Courteous, professional, effective manner, something like that could be combined into one statement. And I have questions about, and I had a question in one of those workshops when we discussed this before about the one that says knowledge of all municipal/county policies and procedures. To me, this is just as vague today as it was back when I first brought it up. I don't know what that means. I would like to see that be more specific as to the county, what county policies and procedures. If we're talking about just finance, because that's so vague, it could mean all county policies, but you would assume it's talking about financial policies, but let's specify what it is. County policies in relation to the relationship between the county and city transactions. I got that. That should be, but all county financial policies, I don't see where my finance director necessarily needs to be familiar with all that. That makes it tough to hire somebody. So I still would like to see that cleaned up somehow, because that's confusing to me. And my general question for my knowledge is about the Government Accounting Standards Board. Is that am I on the correct one, Ms. Evelyn?
Which one was it?
Well, there's two specified standards in the original requirements. Where are they?
They're at the top of that that third page. It's Gatsby 34
There
and
you go.
Gatsby 45.
Yeah, GSAB 34 and 45. So the original requirements require only those two. In your sheet, Councilwoman Evelyn, you mentioned several others. So my general question is, I don't know how broad the General Accounting Standards Board things are. So those specific ones that have been kind of,
I actually added those because when Danielle goes to work with the auditors and put that financial presentation together, which they then audit, all those rules are very specific to our set of financial statements. And if you don't know those rules, you're not going to put that together to where we get a good audit like we did.
okay, so the general government accounting standards are so broad that for municipal finances, there's only specific ones that apply?
Yes, we don't,
Okay.
there's certain transactions that those regulate that we don't incorporate into our financial statements because we don't do those types of transactions. So it's not that they couldn't apply, they just have never applied thus far.
Okay, so our requirements, if we hire someone, they have a bachelor's degree or the 8 years of experience or 4 years of experience. You all are familiar with that description there, right?
What did that version
Bachelor's
say?
degree in accounting, public finance, business administration, or closely related field from a four-year college or university. Must have 4 years of local government finance experience or 8 years experience in local government accounting, public finance, and business administration with 4 years. So you could not have a bachelor's degree. So if someone has that many years of experience, if with a bachelor's degree, they're going to have 4 years of experience, right? If they have a bachelor's, at least 4 years of experience, that's the minimum requirement, correct?
No, so it's saying you have a bachelor's degree and 4 years of actual experience. We're not counting the degree as 4 years of experience.
No,
And then
no, no, no.
the or is 8 years of experience with 4 of those being at a higher level.
Yes, you have 4 years of experience is all you need if you have a bachelor's degree, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
That is correct.
And without a bachelor's degree, 8 years of experience. So my question is, if somebody has that experience for either of those qualifications are met, would they not be familiar with all of those standards, those?
I think there's a word missing. Will you read that sentence again? 8 years of local government.
8 years in local government accounting, public
See, that needs
finance.
to have the word management in there because no. So Danielle could have 20 years as an AP clerk, for example,
Uh-huh.
and then she wants to apply for this, but she wouldn't have any of that experience that you need putting those set of financial statements together. Because the finance director in my mindset is somebody that's going to analyze, research, do statistic analysis, tell us, hey, this is an indicator of a problematic area that we need to focus on.
Mhm.
So I think there's a word missing that never got added to that.
Well, it does go on after that to say, with 4 years' experience as a chief financial officer, director of finance, or assistant finance director, which any of those positions, they would have to be familiar with those, all of those
Yes.
additional
Yes.
things. So I'm thinking, with the experience, if they have that, which we require, either or, and have held that job for that number of years, they probably know all of those additional things. I don't want to say the wrong name there, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're just called GASB, if that helps you. GASB
There you go.
rules.
All the Gatsby's. Does that make sense?
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
So I think we just need to strike a balance between listing out every potential thing that we think that they might encounter. Think of it just like the job description for the city manager. We don't list out every single statute, every single ordinance, every single county ordinance that would that they might have to comply with, and then tell them in the job description that's part of their job description. So I think that a balance between being exhaustive and being, short, sweet, to the point. Obviously, we don't need it to be that, but at the same time, we don't need to list everything that's on that very last page. But I do agree that there could be some changes that we could, like I said, we could pull out, for example, Microsoft Office Suite, and maybe even financial software solutions, and pull up some of the bullet points. But what I'm asking for is, let's do that tonight. Let's get this thing done. Let's get it approved, and let's get it advertised.
Go ahead.
I agree, Mr. Harrison. When I first did that, what I did was took our set of financial statements
Mhm.
and I went through what knowledge would I need in order to complete that particular skill? Because at the end of the day, that's the job of the finance director, is putting that book together so we can get our audit done.
Right.
And that we can get it done timely. I think we could just say, I was trying to be consistent of how they had the
Sure.
job description back then. So I was throwing all these things in, but I'm okay by saying, let's just condense it. You've got to know all GASB rules applicable to the city's financial statements.
Okay.
That would clear up all that, eliminate all of that language I'm okay with. Again, I know there's a motion and a second on the table. I really would like to defer this for 2 weeks and let Kobe and his staff clean this up and bring it back to us and put it on the consent agenda, and let's vote on it.
Mayor?
Yeah.
my biggest problem with the wording is you either have a 4-year degree in accounting or 8 years of
Financial management.
financial experience. And recent history has taught us that you can take a person with a high school education and make them a finance director because they've been a data entry operator for 8 years. And you don't get a passing audit for years and years and years. You take somebody that does not have the education, that doesn't have the tools in their toolbox. It doesn't mean they're stupid. It just means they don't have the skills to be a financial director. And we learned that. Danielle is an accountant. She's got the tools to get the job done, as she has recently proven with a stellar audit. She's getting paid finance director pay. She's doing a great job. This isn't something we have to move on today. We need to get this wording fixed, or we're going to repeat history. We're going to walk down the same path we did before with someone who was a good person, but just did not have the education and the tools to do the job. And that wording is still on the table right here, that if we passed it tonight, we could walk down that same path. I say we get it fixed. We get it fixed right. There's no urgency in this. Danielle's got this ship smooth sailing. If we have to take another few weeks or a month to get this hammered out and done right, I'd rather do that than rush into it. There's no need to rush.
So last time when we hired someone that checked all the boxes, how do you explain that?
Who you?
The last one.
You weren't here for that.
He's talking about Stephen, and I don't think that we need to go there. I think we just, let's
Well, I mean,
call
he
the
went
roll.
there
Let's
for
call
the
the
previous
vote.
one.
You still have that wording to open the door to let somebody that doesn't have the tools to get the job. A job that they don't have the training and the skill set to do.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor. I don't think this is getting anywhere. Let's take it to vote. All in favor, say aye.
This is to make this, approve this tonight?
No, the
To bring it-
motion
to make
was
changes and
to,
bring it back to the 28th.
the motion was
motion?
to allow them to modify the language, bring it back next week, put it on the consent agenda, and let's vote on it.
Aye.
So
Nay.
Well, to continue, there's no public comment, just to continue it.
This isn't a continuance.
It's going to be,
Well, you're okay with them public comments, need them, Mayor?
okay. All right, we'll open it to the public. Come on.
Mark Hamble, a citizen. I think we've done such a good job, as been mentioned, getting our finances in order. Let's wait 2 more weeks to make sure we get this right. I think Councilor Hamble, with her experience, has led us through this process the past couple of years. I think we owe it to ourselves to wait and get this down perfectly before we move ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Shirley Guillory. What you said about experience and 4-year degree, there are people out there with experience, 8, 16 years that can do the job. Just because they don't have a 4-year degree don't mean they can apply. And in your interviewing, you should be able to tell whether they're right for the position by reading their job description. So don't knock out that person that don't have a bachelor's or a master's. I have a master's. Don't knock them out.
Thank you. Anyone else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Nay.
Nays carry. Now we're.
Now we're on the item itself to approve or deny.
I would make a motion that we approve this with the changes discussed and any changes that come as the result of the discussion of the motion, and begin the advertising process.
I'll second that.
Now, how are we going to, the best way of identifying?
Can we just go through these real quick, Mr. Mayor, and just knock them out? Because he's right. We have been doing this since August, and realistically, this should have been cleaned up way before now, before it comes to it.
Yeah. Legal.
Yep, let's start with the very first.
Here.
Oh, I apologize. I was saying, I agree with Councilman Beerbone. Let's just go through this, knock it out and get it posted, and we can start tonight.
And with that direction, we will bring back an ordinance conforming to what you approved tonight.
I do want to clarify that it is my opinion that the ordinance only reflect the job requirements and qualifications, that it not include everything that's in this job description. Our ordinance should not be littered with all of these essential job functions and all that stuff. The ordinance should just contain the position and the qualifications, in my opinion.
That's how we would conform it.
Okay.
Well, if I could, there might be some things here in these suggestions. I'm not an accountant, but there might be some things in here to consider, adding into those requirements. If we can agree on those, but I'm not familiar with what necessarily they should be. For example, knowledge regarding trim process. Again, a lot of these might very well be covered and proven by a candidate that has those years of experience. So they are familiar with having done most of these things, but I would like to know from Councilwoman Havlin, is there anything here, or Danielle, if you think that there is anything critical in this list that we could improve this by adding on those additional suggested additions, I would like us to consider this is the time to do it, and we can agree on it tonight if that's the case. I just don't know enough about it, but you two do, I think. But I do feel like a lot of these are covered by the experience. And I will say also on the education requirement or experience requirement, for someone that does not have a bachelor's degree, they still have to have, 8 years experience. Somebody with a bachelor's degree still has to have 4 years of experience.
And with that 4 years, they still have to have four of those 8 have to be in upper management.
Yes. In one of those positions.
Correct.
That's right.
Does it say that?
Yes.
It does.
With 4 years of experience as a chief financial officer, director of finance, or assistant finance director, or similarly related work may be substituted for BS degree.
I'm trying to pull the document up off of our agenda. Kobe, can you help me for a second? Sue me.
So that leaves it to the council to determine whether that person, is qualified.
Just like Ms. Guillory said.
Yes,
Yes.
that's right. That's right, 100%. I would like to suggest that we change the bullet point at the top of the page that says Knowledge of Government Accounting Standards Board, and it's got the Gatsby 34 and 45. I think you had suggested that we just say all appropriate.
Yes.
So let's just make that change.
Yes.
So let's make that change. I would like to see us strike knowledge of Microsoft Office and financial software solutions. And then I would like to, for example, we can bring up the trim notice that's in the very last page of suggestions.
Say that again, please, Todd, because I still don't have a copy of it in
I'm,
front of me.
I'm striking knowledge of Microsoft Office and knowledge of financial software solutions, and then I'm bringing up from your list
That's fine.
the trim notice bullet point.
Hang on. Can I just make a photocopy of somebody?
What's the problem?
Danielle, did you have any?
I think one of the big things that we have, I don't know if it's on there or not, but deadlines, that missing deadlines is not appropriate. And that's been one of our biggest problematic areas. So I think that should be but it looks like there's a couple different things. Demonstrate knowledge, prioritize competing tasks with multiple deadlines.
I completely agree. I think we ought to put a bullet point under essential job functions that says that an audit will be completed on time and have a favorable.
And all tasks
rating.
that lead up to that.
Yes.
I'm trying to make it not having to be inferred. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Where are y'all starting at? Did you start at the essential job? Is that what you're looking at, or are you looking at the list?
We're just kind of jumping around, but we can start at essential job functions.
Okay, just a second, sorry. I think all the knowledges, is there any way that we could take all those knowledge, this, that, and the other? And somehow condense that to, so,
Why don't we read these going down and just see if anybody's got issues with any of them that exist? And then you can just strike them at that point.
are you gonna start at
Let's go to essential job functions then.
Okay.
which page?
It's very,
Very top.
very top.
Okay, got it.
Says the following statements describe the principal function of the job and its scope, responsibility, but should not be considered an all-inclusive listing of work requirements. Individuals may perform other duties as assigned. The top bullet point develops plans and implements finance department objectives and goals. Does anybody have an issue with that?
Nope.
All right. We'll go to the next. Provides staff assistance to the city council. Does anybody have issues with that? Analyzes accounts and provides to the city council, city manager, and department heads a monthly report showing comparisons to the budgeted revenues and expenditures to actual revenues and expenditures. Does anybody have issue with that?
I would remove department
No,
heads because they can pull it off the system themselves.
Say it again.
I would remove the reference to department heads. So council, manager, department heads can pull it themselves out of the system.
Okay.
Does everybody agree with that?
I'm fine with that
Mm-hmm.
because I just want it for us, basically.
Yeah.
And the city manager, because he should know before,
I agree. Responsible for the preparation of the city's comprehensive annual financial report.
So I think that's the one that I want to see. I think we all agree modified to say that it is completed on time and with no major findings.
How about preparation and
Well-
timely completeness of the city's comprehension
With no major findings?
with no major findings?
Now, when you say no major findings, that's different than a qualified or unqualified opinion. I would like for it to say
Okay, that's fine. Qualified,
unqualified opinion, because that then means you're doing
a qualified
all of
opinion?
those. Qualified is not, that's what we got last year.
Okay,
So it would be responsible for the preparation and timely completeness of the city's comprehensive annual financial report with,
An unqualified opinion. From the
Everybody agree?
external auditor.
I think
The
we
goal,
should,
and I think it should say the goal is to obtain an unqualified opinion.
So
'Cause
whether-
that's the
I think it
highest
needs
level
to-
you can get.
needs to include the words on time.
Mhm.
that was the timely preparation and timely completeness.
Actually, and I think it needs to be a week before. We should specify as best we can without tying somebody's hands. Because if we get it the night before those auditors came, like what we did this year, it works, but it's stressful. You know, because I had a lot of comments and I had to call them on the phone and we had to work on a Saturday. And I know Danielle, you were working clear up until that time, but if we do it timely all the way through the process, it
So-
shouldn't be.
So if we leave it vague like that, preparation and timely completeness of the city's comprehensive annual financial report with a goal of obtaining a
Unqualified.
unqualified opinion
So you're
Yes.
adding timely, comprehensive.
behind
Timely.
preparation. Mhm. Preparation and timely completeness.
Okay,
Yes,
Clay.
responsible for the preparation and timely completion of the city's comprehensive annual financial report.
can I
Oh, sorry.
can I
yes.
phone a friend?
Yes.
Clay, from a legal standpoint, does that kind of accomplish what I'm getting at, which is that it's on time, that it's not
Mhm.
late, by saying timely?
I think
versus on
so.
time?
I think it accomplishes it.
Okay.
So after preparation, add in the timely completeness, and then at the end, add in with the goal of obtaining an unqualified opinion.
Okay.
Everybody good with that?
Yes.
Provides assistance to and acts as city liaison to external auditor in performing audit functions. Does anybody have an issue with that?
Just the language is provides assistance to,
They're working with the
and
auditors.
acts as the city yeah, I think we could shorten that up.
How would you shorten it?
I don't know. Give me a second.
We need a workshop.
I agree.
Exactly. 2
We're gonna
weeks.
be here
Two.
all night.
We had
Two.
one. We had two.
It's,
Yes, but nobody brought something forward, so that tells us what? Because it took me to bring this back to the table.
I like the mayor's idea. We need to bring this to a workshop.
Well, we've got a motion and a second on the table.
I'll continue right on.
Make presentations just,
Have a blast.
so can we just leave that one as is? We all agreed.
Mhm.
Okay. I like the next one. Make presentations.
makes presentations to city council, city manager, boards, civic groups, and the general public as necessary and required in manners relating to financial services. Any issues? Assigns work activities, monitors workflows of department projects and programs. Any issues?
Nope.
Assists the city manager with drafting and preparation of the annual budget. Any issues?
Yes. They should be doing it. They shouldn't be assisting the city manager. They should be preparing it and,
The
No,
charter
he's
says
got
he
a.
does it.
Mm-mm.
oh, sorry. I guess that's your role. Then I don't have a problem with it.
Monitors the city's budget, provides documentation for the approval of expenditures for staffing, equipment, materials, and supplies.
I'd like to see language added and brings any problematic areas to the council's attention.
Sold.
I think that could be a standalone bullet point based on the dual reporting, based on anything they find throughout all this.
I would agree.
Okay.
So can we just add another bullet point right
Yes.
there?
And I'd probably make that the final bullet point. Identifies concerns and brings to the attention of the city council.
Indicators, yeah.
Yeah.
Each month they look at this and bring us the indicators that, so that we can address it promptly and prevent ourselves from getting into a problem financially.
Everybody good with that?
Yes.
Directs and assists as necessary in the selection, training, discipline, and evaluation of personnel.
Yes.
Any issues? Confers with the city manager, department directors as necessary regarding policy interpretation.
I'm assuming that's a purchasing and policy and other person, I'm good with
Yeah, you
that.
see that all the time in your single source, sole source discussion.
I'm good.
responsible for analyzing and interpreting budgets of the city and city operations and reporting financial condition of the city to the city manager and city council
Each month, please.
monthly.
Well, that's already
Monthly,
covered.
because it's going to be in that,
It's covered in bullet
report
point
that-
3.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry,
That's covered in bullet point 3 at the top.
it's a duplicate.
Well, if you add the
It
words
is,
monthly.
yeah. So why don't we strike that line altogether?
Which one, Todd, which bullet point at the top, please?
Analyzing accounts and provides the city
Okay.
council and city manager a monthly report.
Yeah, so we don't need a duplicate.
So strike that one out.
Strike it.
Directs and supervises the prevention or preparation, directs and supervises the preparation of analytical reports, research studies, and special finance project assignments.
I'm fine with that.
Real quick, go back to that one up at the top that analyzes the accounts. I think we need to leave this, just add that words up at the top there to interpret the budgets. Because they need to identify what the variances say when they're doing that budget to actual comparisons. Are y'all okay with that?
That's the third bullet point she's going back up to.
Yeah, because we struck the
So do analyze and interpret.
yes,
Okay,
budget to actuals.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
Thank you.
Financial
Directions.
project assignments. Was that the
I think
last
you're on
one?
directs.
Directs the city procurement of supplies, equipment, and services. Any issues with that?
No, but I think you skipped the one above it.
Directs and supervises preparation of analytical reports, research studies, and special finance project assignments. No, I read that one.
Oh, you did? Sorry.
Yeah. Reviews purchasing policies and procedures for efficiency and economy in acquisition of supplies, equipment, and services for all city departments.
I think that's a duplicate of whatever you said above where they were working with the staff right here. Monitor approval of expenditures for staff equipment, materials and supplies.
All right, so which one do we
Yeah,
want
but
to?
this is more dealing with policy and procedure.
Yeah, but didn't it say one of those said that? Hold on.
Yeah, one's
One of
monitoring the
them said
expenses and this
interprets.
one's monitoring policies and
One's like more
procedures.
monitoring the actual actions, and then this is monitoring like how is the policy
I'm
functioning.
okay with it.
Monitors changes in applicable laws, rules, and regulations and informs appropriate staff to make recommendations as needed.
I'm gonna tell you, we did that this year. Danielle, was it GASB 100 that you all had to implement? And you had to go and do the research and then she had to go pull out all the transactions that were appropriate to it. So I'd say leave that one in.
Recommends to the city manager a selection, hiring of applicants within department. Any issues with that?
None.
Works directly with the public to address any concern as needed upon approval of the city manager.
I'm okay.
Works in emergency situations and conditions as may be required.
Yes.
Adheres to all safety rules and regulations.
I can take it or leave it.
Adheres to work schedule and attendance requirements.
Good.
Perform other duties as may be from time to time prescribed by the city manager.
Good.
Knowledge of general accepted accounting principles, the GAAP.
Yeah, I'm good.
That. Uh-huh.
This one, the next one, how did you want to term it? The knowledge of government accounting standards and board.
As
All
applicable.
applicable, you must be knowledgeable on all applicable
Government accounting standards.
government accounting. Yeah, because there's.
For the
other
city.
So knowledge of all applicable GASB
rules and
rules
regulations.
and regulations for the
There you
city.
go.
Okay.
Mhm.
You get that, Sumi? Knowledge of chart of accounts.
This is important, and I'm going to explain to you why.
Is this the
state-
Florida accounting procedures?
The state of Florida issues a book of accounting rules and regulations that we must all follow. It tells you what kind of funds to use, what account numbers to use, because when we do our financials, then they flow to another government entity who has to use the same ones, and you can get statistical information from it. So that's really important because ours got out of whack.
Could you add the words Uniform Accounting Code, State of Florida,
Yes.
instead of saying chart of accounts? Because everybody has a chart of accounts.
Actually, yes. So why don't we just use both? Danielle, would you be okay with that? With
Knowledgeable
chart
of
of
the
accounts.
Uniform
uniform, yeah,
Accounting Code,
yeah, it's what is it, UAS?
UAC.
Four letter.
UAC is what I'm familiar.
You're talking about the state of Florida one, yes?
Yes.
I think I might have it down here on one of those other pages.
To uniform accounting standards? Or what?
It's uniform accounting. I'll look it up here in just a second. I'm good with what
Can I
Todd
skip
said.
that one and
Delete the-
go down to the next one real
So,
quick?
so would that apply if an applicant was from out of state?
Yes, because it would be completely different than what they
Mhm.
learned in their experience.
Yeah, and we've had problems with that in the
And
past.
yes, we have. And it is very problematic because they'll come in, they're the director, they'll want to change the way we do things or the way we code things, and you cannot because it's conforming to what the state of Florida tells us we must conform to.
Yeah.
And we're graded on that as part of the audit.
And again, it just says knowledge of it. So
We should say substantial knowledge on a couple of these, not just regular.
or application of, like
I
applying
like
it, you
that.
know what I
And
mean?
yeah,
I think we put it in here. Maybe we just leave it as is, right? With adding the Uniform Accounting Code for Florida is what I wrote down. But again, these are mental notes that I'm making that when we actually do the interview, that we're gonna test them on. Now, I was having a discussion with someone the other day about the hiring process for a different position, and I said, we need to get to a point where we're hiring people, and during the process, we're hiring them questions. For example, if I go ask somebody, what does the co-stop on a virtualization system mean? And they can answer me properly, Josh probably knows the answer to that, then I know that they know their stuff. And so it's important that during the interview that we're asking questions that would indicate to us that they know their stuff.
I have a question because I don't want to run into what we ran into before and it only worked for 5 weeks and they recognized it wasn't the job for them. Would we be willing to test somehow? Pre-test before to exclude people from,
That should be HR and city manager.
and I'm okay with that, but if we're the ones that need to provide some of this guidance to them, because I think what we're doing right now should have been done by.
Is there
that
some sort
level
of
also.
uniform testing that we can sign up for when it comes to accounting and accountants? I mean, if they've got a CPA,
I'm not sure, Todd, if there is, because I've just been out of it for a little bit, so I'm sure there is. There's a test for everything anymore, so.
my only caution against that is you get into a situation where people learn to take the test and they don't really possess knowledge. So that's
I'm
where to
okay,
me.
this is the only time I get to ask those kind of questions
Sure.
of all of us. so.
No, I think it's a valid question, but I guess in my industry, the whole coding in real time for people at job applications, that kind of stuff.
But when you got numbers there and a set of rules that you gotta follow, and for them to then pick, it takes, you can tell whether they can interpret what they're reading or not, to be honest with you. That's the kind of, 12 questions and you'll know right away that.
If I know for other positions, like I said, within my industry, that they would for coding positions, they would have them code in real time. Like if you went to certain positions at
Yeah.
Google, for example, they literally put a whiteboard in front of you and said, solve this problem
Yeah.
and write your code on the board. But maybe we come up with some sort of accounting project where we give them a set of financials and say, produce a report. Maybe that's part of the
Or
interview
just
process.
interpret, or just give them a set of something from that monthly report and say, okay, tell us what you see. What would you advise us on?
Sure, we could do that as part of the interview process.
I mean, I just think that's important. You're gonna tell right away. We would have eliminated, I think, the problem we had before.
All right. So back to that second bullet point, it's called the Uniform Accounting System Manual.
Thank you.
Drop off.
UASM.
But that's the manual, so Uniform Accounting System. is
So
what you
knowledge
want
of,
them to know.
knowledge
Okay.
of state of Florida Uniform Accounting
System.
System.
Everybody good with that?
Yes,
Mhm.
please.
All right. Knowledge of financial software solutions.
I say we strike those two, the financial solutions and the Microsoft Office suite. If they're able to perform all these other functions, they're not gonna have a problem plugging in Excel.
I agree. We're not pen and paper anymore.
Or delegate.
Yep. Are y'all go with that?
Yes.
Knowledge of principal supervision, organization, and administration. Of principles of supervision, organization, and
I'm
administration.
good with that.
All right. Knowledge of all municipal and county policies and procedures.
So this is
I
one
think
Mr.
this is one Mr. Harrison is talking about, so maybe we could modify that to what he said between transactions, county transactions and city transactions specifically, more specifically.
I just worry about it scaring off applicants, thinking they have to know all city policies and all county policies. It's just too vague for me. If it's pertinent to just county policy, financial policies in relation to city
I don't even-
transactions.
I don't even think it's policies and procedures. I think it's the agreements between us, the interlocal agreements and down to the transactional.
Well, but to your point, I think we want them to be able to, at some point during their tenure, to be able to demonstrate, hey, what's the limit on the city manager and the purchasing policy before he has to have approval, right? Because I believe that our finance department should serve as a check and balance. So
But
I
didn't
think we need to modify this to say that they have working knowledge of municipal financial.
applicable.
Okay,
There you go.
okay.
Well, so let me ask this question, if I may, and I hate to throw a wrench in this. But are you asking them to have that level of knowledge at the time they take the job? Or are you asking them to have the ability to identify, learn, and apply our policies?
Would say they need to learn and apply our policies.
In a short period of time, because if you're at this level, you've got to know it. You can't
Yeah, so maybe
wait
this is
3
an
months and then
ability.
realize, oh, I painted the streets with a 60,000 duplicate.
So,
Yes, I think it'll come under the ability category, not knowledge. I mean, if somebody comes in here and they already know, they've already done the research and can tell us about our personnel policy in their interview, they're going to get sufficient points from all of you in the interview process to justify that. But if somebody says, I've worked in 30 cities over 40 years, this is the last one I'm going to work in, you may ask why they've had that many jobs, but I know how to read code and figure it out. That's going to be just as important as do they know what we have right now?
so the ability to apply municipal and county policies and procedures.
I say we strike county policies.
What would you-
I tend to agree. I don't believe it applies to this position.
I think it does, because we've got a lot of interlocal agreements with the
But they
county.
manage their own county. We don't manage their policies at all.
No, but shouldn't they?
We already have that policies. and
They need to be familiar with 163, not 125, in my opinion.
So in our interactions with the county, as far as whether it's sanitation money and all the transactions back and forth with that money, they have to be familiar with.
But that's not a county policy. That's a state statute.
Okay. Is there anything else that might fall under that, though?
So the county's going to administer its own policies. We're going to administer our own policies. The interlocal agreement should spell out the
Okay.
interaction between the two.
I got
So it's knowing the interlocal. It's not
Yeah.
even really knowing the city. Knowing the city policy deals with what we do in house. When you're dealing with anybody else, Danielle doesn't necessarily need to know what the city of Fort Walton Beach's policies are. If we have an interlocal with them, she needs to know what the interlocal says.
Right.
And I think we ought to add the word state, because he's right, that we've got to comply with statute once, the 160 statutes, 163, 66, and a couple of the
What
others.
if we say knowledge of, well, I mean, obviously you gotta have knowledge of state laws. I mean, that is.
And it's
all
not,
of
and
us
it's
that-
not even in here.
Well, no one's going to walk in knowing our policies.
I was about to say, you would have never hired me. I did not know your
I would
policy.
just scratch it.
Well, but again, the job description is used not on an ongoing basis to then do a performance evaluation. So I don't think there's an expectation just because it says that they know them during the interview. But we've got to come up with some wording that just says, to Councilwoman Hevelin's point, that they develop a very quick operational knowledge of our policies. and can
Yeah,
apply them.
acquire, just add the word acquire.
Okay.
Acquire working knowledge of,
All municipal policies and procedures?
if it's referring to, yes, if it's necessary for finance director to know all city policies, hiring, everything else, or are we talking about specifically?
I would say all,
Purchasing
because
policy.
every one of them has a
Okay.
transaction
that-
associated with them.
That's good. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Can I
I
ask
just think
Clay
it
a
was very vague.
question? Clay, does the charter say that he can delegate any of that budget authority? Does he have the authority to delegate? Because one of these next ones is assist in the preparation of, but can he delegate it?
That's both the charter and the
Motion.
code.
Yeah, no, code and charter don't give him the ability to delegate it out. It's a separation of powers issue.
So anything in that, then, and I don't know what it says, it's been a while since I read it.
But you can delegate
You
it. They're
cannot
still
delegate.
responsible for everything that they delegate. So it would be the same.
I just wanted to, I
Yeah,
just
I
need
think
to
it's
know the
fine.
rules so that they apply, whatever applies, they apply.
We do
not
it hand in
just here,
hand. So we
but-
do it hand in hand. We have meetings with department heads
Yeah.
together. Finance director provides revenue estimates for the next year, things of that nature. So, I mean,
All right, so what's the final cleanup?
So we're going to say acquire knowledge of all municipal policies and procedures, and we're going to strike the word county.
And you're gonna add the word state.
So add the word state.
Applicable.
I'm typing, I'm
Applicable.
trying to type it up right here so I can send it to Kobe. So let me see if I can,
Applicable, what, state and city.
Require
All right.
working
And
knowledge.
did we put it under the word ability like Clay had recommended?
so I'm gonna straddle the two. Knowledge of applicable local, state, and federal laws and policies, and the ability to learn and demonstrate understanding thereof within a prompt time frame of hire, or adoption of said laws and policies. I don't know if you can be more comprehensive without being a whole lot more wordy.
Sounds like
Why
what
you
you
make
wrote
the
it.
big bucks, Clay?
I'm good with it.
Hey, be concise and messaging is not my strong suit, as y'all have learned. So,
All right.
All right, so the next one, skilled in dealing with customers with demonstrated ability to handle stressful situations. They got to deal with customers, they got to be able to deal with stressful situations. You good with that?
Yes,
Now, was this particular, because up until this point, they have been overseeing billing.
they won't.
Yeah,
that part.
Seeing counter customers after this.
That's right.
They do need to have that ability, but I don't know if they're gonna be seeing customers.
what if we just say skilled in dealing with people, comma, with a demonstrated ability to handle stressful situations?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Skilled in the use and care of office tools, equipment, materials of the task for which they're assigned.
Immaterial.
Yeah, and materials of,
No, I say it's immaterial. I
Oh.
don't care one way or the other whether it stays or goes.
well, I mean, if they tear up everything they're given, but that's different anyway. Ability to demonstrate initiative, self-motivation, and work cooperatively with coworkers and the public.
Mr. Mayor, we've got a lot of chatter going on.
Yeah, that's quite a bit down in the room. I know this is exciting for you, but hold quiet until we get finished.
Ability to communicate effectively, verbally, and in writing with employees, department heads, and the public. Y'all good with that?
Yet necessary, yes.
Ability to communicate effectively and verbally in writing with department heads and the public. Is that the same thing?
Yeah.
Other than we added
Yeah.
department heads, scratch that whole line. Ability to plan, coordinate, and work of the department in manner conducive to full performance and high morale.
Yes.
Ability to exercise considerable tact and courtesy in contact with the general public.
I think that's a duplicate.
Yeah. let's
Scratch that line.
scratch it.
Ability to exercise good independent judgment and initiative in applying standards to a variety of work situations.
Yes.
Ability to assist in preparation, I think we already did this.
Yeah, that's a duplicate.
Yeah, ability, that's a duplicate scratch,
Yeah,
that
I'll
whole
scratch
line.
it.
Yeah, that works above.
Mhm. Ability to keep accurate records and reports,
Yes.
that's kind of, keep
That's
it
the
or?
whole audit.
I'd keep it.
Okay. Ability to use common office machines, including computer-driven word processor sheet. You want to scratch that? 'Cause we
Yes.
scratched it
Yeah.
before.
Yes.
Somebody else want to take over from this part for us?
I'd say the qualifications, that's what we all talked about. It's already in red or underlined.
A
You guys
couple
will
of-
slide that frame up. IT? Michael or Jesse?
Are you guys? No, but
Technical problems.
there,
There we go.
on the letter A, after the first sentence, and must have 4 years of local government finance managerial experience. Can we add the word managerial in there?
But that's covered at the end with 4
Yeah,
years
but I
of
just think
experience.
it needs to be very clear, and I don't think it is very clear here, and it's too vague, and it would let somebody argue the point.
It specifies CFO, Director of Finance, and Assistant
Oh, I see, in the
Finance
same
Director.
sentence, hold on a minute, and must have, well, then it's, yeah, but that's an or,
It
that's
says,
attached
with 4
to the
years
or.
as Chief Financial Officer, Director of Finance, or Assistant Finance Director, or similarly related work may be submitted for a BS degree.
Substituted for a,
That first line is college
The-
degree in working in finance, not manager, is what it's saying.
you have to have a 4-year degree and 4 years of,
Local government finance experience. So you're someone working within finance, when you got your 4-year degree, now you want to be the CFO.
yeah, so if I'm the utility clerk and all I've ever done is taken in payments, and I do have my bachelor's degree, I still don't have any knowledge to meet any of these things above there, and I just don't want it to be a level of frustration for somebody who applies for this job, because really, they're not even qualified, because they don't have managerial experience with financial statements, or the interpretation, or the analysis of budget to actuals, squeezing out those variances. I just think adding that one word would make a great deal of difference.
It would kind of go towards the 8 years of experience, with 4 years of that being as
Exactly.
the CFO, because you're substituting the education for experience is what you're doing with those 2 lines.
Mm-hmm.
So to make them identical, you put management in with that top line, and then you're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
So 8 years experience in the local
No, go
No,
to the, go
it's
to
the
the
first
top, the
sentence.
4 years of local government. Bachelor's degree in accounting, public finance, business administration, or closely related field from a 4-year college or university, and must have 4 years of local government managerial finance experience. Or 8 years experience in local government accounting, public finance, or business administration, with 4 years experience as the CFO, the director of finance, the assistant finance director, or similarly related work may be substituted for a BS degree. So now the 2 align. Certified public accountant is preferred, or a certified government financial officer. Must possess knowledge of state Florida uniform accounting codes. Now that's back where we were a minute ago, so this
That's
is
the manual.
duplicative.
Yeah, it should say the exact language you just said, Uniform Accounting Systems Manual.
So do we scratch that from above where we added it and leave it in here, or?
Well, this is under your
Oh,
qualifications.
no, I'm sorry, never mind, it's qualification. And any other areas concerning governmental accounting, along with working knowledge of utility services. Do they need the utility
They
services?
still need that, because they still are gonna have to put it in the financial statements at the end of the day. So they have to know how to,
Everybody else good with that still? Knowledge in the areas of budget preparation, budget administration, financial investments, and financial computer software are essential. It's just a statement.
Defining that as an essential, yeah.
feel like we strike the entire line C.
C, must have knowledge of computer systems. Yes, scratch C, because we have
Well,
everywhere else.
You're
But-
gonna have
but
to
no.
have that.
No, to me, we can scratch the first sentence there. But to me, I want somebody that has local government utility services experience.
I want to point out that the gray and red is from the muni code. I'm not sure.
Ooh,
if y'all-
gray and
Gray
red
and
is-
red is from the code.
So
That's what it
it's
says,
an
gray
ordinance.
and red, or from the charter.
Or charter.
So,
Well, no, it's not the charter, it's communication.
okay, I said it right the first time, muni code.
Code
So
can be
that can be
changed.
That's what it
updated
says
as part
above,
of
highlighted
the
gray
charter.
and red font
That's
is
what
from the
I'm-
muni code. So the other stuff, the underlines what y'all added at the last meeting. And then the stuff that's not underlined, must have knowledge of local government, is old, 2022.
I say we leave we can strike must have knowledge of computer systems, but we leave must have knowledge of local government utility services. Because they're going to be preparing the financial reports for enterprise funds, and we want them familiar with that.
Clay, are we good with that?
Yeah.
That part in the yellow doesn't matter now because
Yeah,
y'all
it
just
comes
said that's
We'll get rid of it.
Kobe's.
We'll get rid of it.
Yeah,
was just
because
a
it
note.
said now that,
It was just a note for,
yeah, but I wonder why we never discussed that the last time. Because, we added that because of my comments and I didn't realize that the charter said that's your responsibility.
Physical demand is pretty consistent. The only other, just quick, under job summary, there's reference to utility billing and there's reference to customer service. Those are no longer applicable.
we're
Did you call
lost
the
right
auditor?
there.
Under
Top.
job summary.
Top, or go back to the top. Keep going. Right
Did you-
there.
Okay.
Say that again,
What are you asking?
Kobe, please.
In the job summary, there's reference to utility billing and there's reference to customer service.
Yes.
So those can be
Well,
taken out.
I would say that we leave utility billing because, I mean, even though we're moving that function out, there's still a tie there when it comes to preparing the financial reports. So I still want them to have some knowledge.
That was at the top, the very top. They skipped back
Well,
over here. Yes, sir. We're right here, right above where Amy was, where the physical demands, and then we're gonna go into Amy's.
All right, before we go into Amy's, are we ready to go into hers yet?
That does say, though,
We're gonna take a quick
Hang
break.
on one
We got a
second.
problem back there.
Yeah, I think.
Councilman Beerbauer under that, about the utility billing. It does say the position is responsible for performing professional work in planning, organizing, staffing, controlling, and administering all financial functions, including, skip over utility billing, customer service. So it's saying they will actually control and administer.
Okay.
Let's take a break.
Just think about that.
All right, we're gonna, please be back at your seat in 10 minutes, ready to go. Okay. All right, we're gonna take a short break.